Hello everyone and welcome back to TowerGate. It is day 186, September the 7th, 2017, Thursday. Yes, it's already Thursday. Man, this week's going quickly. Yes, I knew when we shaved that Monday off the first of the week would go very nicely. And so far so well, or so good. Yeah, so far so good. That's it. Two very major breaking important stories today. Which are stories that we talk about a lot here on TowerGate, but two major breaking pieces of information today we're going to get to. But first, this breaking news announcement from CNN. This is a beaut. You're going to love this one. Here we go. CNN. Female hurricanes deadlier than male hurricanes. So what are they talking about? Well, here at CNN, what they're saying is that hurricanes that are named after men or masculine names of hurricanes are nowhere near as deadly as hurricanes named after women or with feminine names. And the reason they're giving is because when people hear that a hurricane is coming and it has a feminine name, they feel less threatened, so they don't prepare nearly as well. I'm not kidding. This was actually reported on CNN. Okay, and the place where they got this story is the exact same. It's a liberal think tank out in California. It's the same people who came up with the idea that they should put menstrual products into men's restrooms to make transgenders feel more inclusive. And as I said back at that time, if I ever walk into a men's restroom and see a tampon dispenser, I'm running out of that restroom as fast as I can possibly go. I'll be looking for the nearest bush, tree, or building. But no, this is a true story. CNN is actually, with a serious look on their face, I believe it was Wolf Blitzer, delivered this important piece of news that hurricanes with feminine names are a lot more dangerous than hurricanes with masculine names because people will not prepare as well for them because they don't feel nearly as threatened. This is just absolute insanity. I don't know how anyone could ever pass this off as serious news. I've been through a lot of storms, watched a lot of hurricanes. I have never in my life experienced anyone ever referring to the name of the storm as having anything at all to do with how dangerous the storm is or how well you should prepare. Now, I don't live at Laguna Beach. I don't live in Manhattan. I don't live in any of these crazy liberal places, but maybe if you're in a crazed enough liberal neighborhood, I mean, maybe this is the kind of thing that these liberals think. They're nuts. As a lot of people say, Mark Dice and other people, liberalism is a mental disorder. And when you read a story like this, you know it's true. Absolutely insanity. Alrighty, let's move on because there's a lot to talk about today. Well, the rotten Reverend Clinton must have gotten a phone call. Someone must have watched my video because she gave a little speech today. And she didn't talk much about the Bernie Sanders supporters very much, so I imagine someone must have called her and said, "Hey, Hillary, we're trying to pick up some seats in the next election. You're driving that wedge deeper and deeper while we're trying to bring the party together. Stop beating up on Bernie bros." So she went out today and gave a speech, and now she's shifting the blame to voters and to the voters and sexism for the loss. Sexism. Well, she's blamed Putin, she's blamed, the Russians, she's blamed Assange, she's blamed Sanders, she's blamed the media, she's blamed everyone else. This is I guess this is the last stop on the Hillary tour. Blame sexism. Absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning. Now, also, they're talking about, in her memoirs, they're bringing up this thing again about the fact that she contemplated divorcing Bill. Well, now this is like the fourth time that we've heard this. She's contemplated divorcing Bill Clinton. The first time that she contemplated divorcing Bill Clinton, I remember very well. It was during his 1992 run for the presidency when he was running against Bush and Perot. And the story about his 15-year relationship with Jennifer Flowers came out during the campaign. She did the big interview with 60 Minutes. And so he was forced to come out and admit it. And Hillary, in an effort to try to save some face, because it was quite embarrassing for her, said that it was a tough period in her life and that she even contemplated divorce. The funny thing was, everyone knew that she knew for the entire 15-year period that he was having this relationship with her, and everyone that knew her said, she don't care. She's got her own little friends, probably many of them female. And of course, we can assume that one of them, Webster Hubble, which produced that satanic offspring we now know today as Chelsea. Which reminds me of another story about, the Clintons. After he got elected and he was president, right after that there came a series of things which was referred to in the media back then. For those of you who can't remember, who are too young or too old and have forgotten, a thing called the bimbo eruptions. And the bimbo eruptions was that right after Clinton got elected. It was going on during his candidacy, but especially after he got elected. The bimbo eruptions was a series of women, dozens of women literally, who came out and talked about Bill Clinton sexually assaulting them, having affairs with them, raping them, all sorts of sexual charges against Slick Willie. And of course, this was, I think, the second time that Hillary had to roll out the old, well, I thought about divorcing him, but I thought I'd stick by my man, because we have such a wonderful relationship. Yeah, your husband is screwing everything in Arkansas. Over 300 women, allegedly, according to the two cops who procured a lot of these women for Clinton. They talk about over 300 different women. And he's got a steady girlfriend now. What they call her, Energizer Bunny. The Secret Service calls her Energizer Bunny. And Hillary has to call the house to let Bill know when she's coming home so he can make her leave. What a fraudulent marriage that is. But anyway, kind of reminds me of the one story which I always thought was pretty funny. This is even prior to the Monica Lewinsky event in the Oval Office, where the blue dress and all that. There was one woman who came out, Paula Jones. Some of you may be familiar with her, but when all these bimbo eruptions came out, Hillary was put in charge of putting down the bimbo eruptions. So she thought, okay, well, what we have to do is destroy these women's character and destroy them financially any way we can. So she hired lawyers, jackbooted thugs, union thugs, to threaten them and throw bricks through their windows and follow them around and scare them to death, and various other things to try to get these bimbos off of Clinton's back. Now, the problem they ran into with Paula Jones was that apparently what happened there was that she had been at some sort of a function. She was active in Democratic Party politics, and he had someone bring her up to his room. She thought it was maybe about something to do with a position in government or working for the party or something like that, because I believe he was governor at the time. And so she goes up there, and apparently he tried to grab her and force her to kiss him or whatever. She pushed him away, at which point he drops his pants and points to it and tells her what he wants her to do, right? So she runs out of the room, and so she comes out of the woodwork, Paula Jones, and of course they really went after Paula Jones, but instead of being scared away like a lot of the other women, she actually went to court, and in her court documents, in her deposition, she had stated that she could prove her charges, and she could prove it because that Slick Willie had one very distinguishing characteristic about his member, if you will. And of course, that got everyone's attention as to what she was talking about. And she said, I can prove that he showed me whipped out his thing, and or what revealed himself, or whatever however you want to phrase that. And It's because, according to in her deposition, we later learned that because she said that his pecker, for lack of a better word, his pecker is crooked. Slick Willie has a crooked pecker. And I always just thought it was funny. I mean, he's got a crooked wife. Why not a crooked pecker? Maybe that's how he got the crooked pecker. But anyway, that lawsuit, that pretty much killed the attempt at putting down Paula Jones, because she had the hard evidence, if you know what I mean, of Slick Willie's situation. And so they ended up settling out of court with her, and I think she got like $750,000. Of course, the lawyers got most of it, but she cleared her name and certainly exposed the fact that, so that we all know that now there's not just a crooked Hillary, there's a crooked Slick Willie pecker involved in the situation. But anyway, going back to Hillary's memoirs, she's now stating that she's considered divorcing him again. That's like about the fourth time. Please. Please. Okay. Now, one of the most important stories of the day, a story we've been following for a very, very long time, getting back to the Debbie Blabbermouth Wasserman Schultz and Imran Awan situation. Major breaking news going on here. And again, this is brought to us from the Daily Caller by Luke Rosiak, who's probably been the very best journalist covering this particular story. He's been all over the story, and it's mostly his stories that I'm referring to whenever I bring up this particular topic. But he has been in touch with the Metro Police, a source inside the Metro Police, and he's now gained some new information. I think you're going to like this. Check this out. According to the Metro DC police detective relating to Luke Rosiak, a laptop that Debbie Blabbermouth Wasserman Schultz had frantically fought to keep prosecutors from examining may have been planted for police to find by Imran Awan, along with a letter to the U.S. Attorney. Now, some of you remember seeing that video clip, I'm sure everyone saw it, where Debbie Wasserman Schultz is in a meeting with this Metro policeman, police chief actually, and she's threatening him. She's saying, well, you got to give that computer back. It belonged to a member, and so, unless you have criminal charges against that person, you have to return that computer or whatever. And she threatened him that there would be consequences. If you remember that video, this is the computer that they're talking about. It was a laptop computer. And according to U.S. Capitol Police, right here, the U.S. Capitol Police found the laptop after midnight on April the 6th, 2017, in a tiny room that was formerly served as a phone booth in the Rayburn office building, which is one of the office buildings where Congress members will have offices and things like that. Along with the laptop was a Pakistani ID card, copies of Awan's driver's license, and congressional ID badge, as well as letters to the U.S. Attorney. Police also found notes in a composition notebook marked attorney-client privilege. And the laptop username was Rep DWS. Who do you think's initials that DWS was referring to? Let's see. You think it could have been Debbie Blabbermouth Wasserman Schultz? I think so. And the Metro Police certainly think so. The Metro Police believe that Debbie Blabbermouth Wasserman Schultz was trying to keep the police from reviewing a laptop that Awan himself may have wanted them to find. So what's going on here? Remember, it's Clinton's lawyers, the Clintons' lawyers, that are representing Imran Awan. Are the Clintons throwing Debbie Blabbermouth Wasserman Schultz under the bus to save their necks? Over the many years I've been watching the Clintons, I've seen them thrown many of their friends under the bus to save their necks. It looks like to me that Debbie Blabbermouth Wasserman Schultz may just be the next one to go. Tire tracks on her back. You can see she's had her fun. Huh. That's Jimmy. Now, boy, this is a head scratcher, okay? So there's a couple different things going on. The very first thing that popped into my mind is, okay, we know that Awan was probably extorting Debbie Wasserman Schultz, probably for money, because we learned that he loves money and can never get enough money. But no matter how much money he gets, he always ends up in debt. I know people like that. So I think it's very likely, now this is just my own thoughts here, that you have Awan extorting, blackmailing Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Blabbermouth Wasserman Schultz, excuse me, and maybe at some point he realizes that the blackmail money he's getting isn't quite cutting the mustard. So he maybe goes to her and says, hey, Debbie Blabbermouth Wasserman Schultz, I want more cash. I've got a lot of damaging information on you. I want more money. Maybe she said, hey, we're paying you enough. Screw you, go away. So maybe he decided, well, we'll see, I'll get you. So it's obvious he plants this laptop in this tiny little room that used to actually be a phone booth before the age of, cell phones and stuff like that, where congressional members could go and have a private little room where they could use the phone. Now it's just like just a little room over in one of these buildings where some members of Congress have offices. So he plants it in this room, this laptop computer that's in question, along with his ID card, his congressional ID badge with his name and picture on it, his own driver's license with several copies of it, letters to U.S. attorneys, notes in a composition notebook marked attorney-client privilege. And then, of course, once the detectives got into the computer, they'd find out that the name on the computer, the username registered, the primary username of this computer that it was registered to, was the username was REPDWS, which obviously stands for Representative Debbie Blabbermouth Wasserman Schultz. But she claims that that laptop computer was not hers, but she certainly wanted to get it back awfully bad because she wanted to know what was on it. So it is now believed, and they haven't disclosed what is on that computer, but obviously it looks like to me that this was something that Awan was trying to do in a move of desperation to let her know that he was serious about wanting more cash. This, I think there's probably been going a extortion or blackmail scheme going on between Awan and Schultz for a very long time, because you can see all the criminal activities he was involved in. We know that she made a phone call to the bank and vouched for him to get him a loan through the congressional bank, which usually only does loans to congressmen or people who actually work for in the actual DNC or for the party. And he was like a third-party contractor. So you can see that Debbie Wasserman Schultz had been bending over backwards for a very, very long time to protect and do favors for Awan, certainly paying him ridiculous amounts of money along with his brothers and his wife. Why was she doing all this? And why would he plant a laptop knowing good and well it will be found by the Metro Police? He also, after doing it to make sure that the police would find it, after he did this, he walked up and down the hallway with a backpack suspiciously in front of the room, the door where he'd go into this room, waiting until someone would see him and think, man, what's that guy doing? That Pakistani-looking guy or foreign-looking guy walking back and forth, acting kind of nervous. What's he doing? So it was that is what prompted someone to make a phone call and say, hey, there's a suspicious character over here. We don't know who this guy is. We've never really seen him over here before. He don't have an office here. He doesn't work for any congressmen that have an office over here. It's just kind of strange. This guy's walking around and up and down the hall. So this is what prompted them to come over and investigate. And they said that he was, I guess, walking back and forth around where this door was. So they went into the room. And they went into the room, and there they'd find this laptop computer with all this other information. Clearly, as the Metro Police are stating here, the police believe that Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Blabbermouth Wasserman Schultz, was trying to keep the police from reviewing a laptop that Awan himself may have wanted them to find. And so the police believe at this point that Awan wanted them to find this laptop with all this other information that he left. And this laptop is, of course, her username. Now, he may have put in that username himself because she's claiming it was not her computer, that it was someone else's computer. First, she claimed it was a member of Congress's computer. Now, she's backtracked on that, and she's saying that, well, it may have been his computer. But she's not claiming to be the owner of the computer. But either way, the fact of the matter is, this is a very crazy development. I mean, it's a very interesting development, but it just shines more light on the fact that there's a lot more going on here. But now we know how this is how the Capitol Police got involved in this. This is how it happened. It was this event. So they've got that laptop, and they obviously have been into that laptop, or they're into that laptop, and we don't know what they've learned from that laptop. But I'm about to tell you about another story that might shine some more light on what we're about to learn and why Debbie Blabbermouth Wasserman Schultz is, as many of her friends have described, and people who know her, a nervous wreck over what's going on with this Imran Awan scandal. And we still need to find out why. What was the reason she was being extorted or blackmailed? What does Awan know? What does he have? I think we're going to find out. And I'll tell you why in just a moment. But first, let's just go ahead and go right into that. Okay, so anyway, the next part of this story now that we're learning is that Blabbermouth Wasserman Schultz aide, who fled the U.S., strikes a deal to return to face charges. They're talking about Alvi, Imran Awan's wife, who, as you recall, fled to Pakistan when she realized that she was under investigation. Someone tipped her off, Mr. Comey. Someone, Mr. Comey, tipped her off. Or Debbie Wasserman Schultz, or somebody tipped her off because she immediately went and got her hands on 12 grand, threw a bunch of cardboard boxes together, threw her belongings, jerked her kids out of school, and her ass was on an airplane. She was getting ready to depart the airport. The FBI was going to go arrest her, and they were told to step down. They were called back. We're still trying to find out why and who. But we do know this. She has now agreed, Mrs. Awan, Alvi Awan, Imran's wife, has now agreed to return from Pakistan to the United States. She is going to be facing her hearing with, I assume, the arraignment hearing on October 6th, 2017. Here in about a month or so, she will be coming back to face those charges with her husband. And they're stating here that Abby has struck a deal. She has struck a deal. That's how they were able to get her to come back. She's not coming back so they can lock her ass up. I can promise you that. She's coming back because her and Imran Awan, just as I told you, you apply the pressure on them, they do not want to go to prison, and they're looking at bank fraud charges. They are looking at conspiracy charges. And we're talking, that's serious jail time, friends. Bank fraud will get you more time in jail than murder. Literally. Don't believe me? Look it up. Bank fraud will get you more years in prison than murder. First degree murder. They're looking at some serious prison time, and they know that we have an extradition treaty with the Pakistani government, so Awan and his wife cannot flee justice. They have one of two choices. Either give up some information and tell the Capitol Police why they had this relationship with Debbie Wasserman Schultz, what was going on here as far as the extortion or the blackmail. They didn't cut these two loose from these types of charges for nothing. They're going to go in there and get some sort of a cushy little plea deal, and it's because they have cut a deal, or at least Mrs. Awan has cut a deal. Now maybe Mr. Awan has not cut a deal, but since his wife's cut a deal, he has no choice. Because in her deal cut, she probably disclosed what his activities were. I promise you these two are going to turn, and they're going to be star witnesses against Debbie Blabbermouth Wasserman Schultz and maybe someone else. Maybe several other people. They know a lot of things. What's on that laptop? The cops know. Obviously, a deal's been cut. We're going to find out more. The hearing is October 6th, 2017, coming up in about a month. Boom! Watch these civil court hearings. Don't pay attention to what's going on in Congress. It's a three-ring circus. It's political theater. It's kabuki theater is what it is. You will learn very little. But watch these civil cases and these other cases that are outside the Congress where they have the control over that sort of thing. This is happening in D.C. Metro Court. Crime rates falling under Trump. The Trump administration has now seen a drop of 1.8%. He's only been president for 7-8 months. He's already got a 1.8% drop in the crime rate, the lowest in 30 years. Why is that? Because black youth unemployment is also the lowest in years. All those black inner city youths are now working instead of out committing crimes. That's exactly what's happening. 88% of Trump voters still approve of Trump. The only group that does not is those that voted for Obama in 2012. Everyone else is hardcore, right on board. And that's still only a small percentage. A lot of those people who voted, the majority of people who voted for Obama then Trump, still approve of Trump. Very, very well done. When you consider how much attack he has been under to still be holding up at 88%, my. And that explains a story I'll be getting to here in just a moment. Here's another very interesting story that's coming out from Hillary's recent memos. Is that, and one reason why she was so crushed on the night of the election, along with many other people, is because apparently Obama had spoke with Hillary by phone the night before the election, and he told Hillary that she had won the presidency. He told her the night before, Hillary, hey, this is Brock. Guess what? You've won the presidency. Yep, you've won. Tomorrow's the vote, and you're going to win. That's certainly thought-provoking, isn't it? That makes your mind go... What the hell? Wait a minute. Okay. We now have another individual like Jason Kessler, who Mr. No Shit Sherlock Ray needs to be looking into as soon as he gets around to it. I've already told you, Mr. Sherlock Ray, FBI director, no time for golf. Put the clubs in the closet. No time to wax the dolphin. You have got many crimes to solve. Here's another one you can look into. I told you, no shit, Sherlock Ray, that you should look into Mr. Kessler. He went from being an Obama supporter and a leader of the Occupy movement to being head of a ultra right-wing nationalist movement. Well, now we have another one of these characters. This guy is named Garn Arthur. He was a leader of Occupy Wall Street. Now he's head of a group called New League of the South, an ultra-white supremacist group. You should be looking into him as well, Mr. No Shit Sherlock, FBI director. Something strange going on here. Something very, very strange. Too many people changing their stripes overnight. You might want to look into them, sir. I think you might find they might be on your payroll. Next up, representatives for the opposition research firm GPS is fighting the subpoena in Buzzfeed's defamation suit. They are scheduled for a deposition hearing next Wednesday as part of a lawsuit against Buzzfeed. Mr. Gubarev's attorneys will be seeking court-ordered documents and records on the dossier that will shine light on who paid for it and who leaked it to Buzzfeed, and the sources for the dossier. In the latest filings in the UK suit, former Fusion GPS provides a hint for the first time that it was them who gave the dossier to Buzzfeed. Fusion GPS requests not to disclose information on grounds that their clients would not be able to trust the confidentiality of the relationship between GPS and their client, and also arguing that disclosing the sources would put lives in danger. I told you to watch this civil suit, my friends. I'm sure Mr. Trump and his attorneys will be watching very, very closely, as will the Rotten Reverend, as well Debbie Blabbermouth Wasserman Schultz, many Democratic members of Congress, people at the DNC, and all those, and especially Mr. Brennan. Mr. Comey will probably have his person in the courtroom taking notes. Again, it was a Democratic Congressman, Mr. Blumenthal, that pointed out that you do not enjoy a attorney-client privilege when you're an opposition research firm. That doesn't make you an attorney, nor does it make the person you're working for anything like an attorney-client privilege. I don't think the judge is going to buy it unless the judge gets bought. You think the dirty, rotten Reverend and Mr. Soros are getting out those checkbooks right now? We will find out. We need to watch this case very, very carefully, because there's no way in the world that they should be able not to disclose the information. And this is the whole court case. The whole court case for Mr. Gubarev is who leaked my name to Buzzfeed. Now, it looks like here that from the UK side, they're suggesting that maybe it was Fusion GPS. And maybe that's the question Fusion GPS did not want to answer. And we already know about the close relationship between Fusion GPS and the intelligence community. Possibly Mr. Brennan. I'm telling you, Brennan, he's a dirty rat. He's a dirty, dirty rat. And he's very, very connected to the Clintons. I'm telling you, if you get to the bottom of this thing, you will find the Rotten Reverend, Mr. Brennan, right at the bottom of it. I absolutely guarantee it. I think Mr. Gubarev's attorneys know it. And Glenn Simpson is worried about lives being in danger. Yeah, you think so? Yeah, he's obviously reviewed that Clinton body count, and he don't want to end up on it. CNN has pulled the investigative team off the Trump-Russia story after a series of embarrassments. Yeah, a series of embarrassments, as well as they had to fire three of their employees for writing salacious and fallacious stories that just weren't true. Of course they're getting off the Trump-Russia story. It's bullshit, and everybody knows it. Yes, of course they're embarrassing themselves. They've seen the polls, my friend. The manufacturing sector has increased jobs at the fastest pace in more than 4 years. That's right. I can vouch for that. At least where I live, nothing but help wanted signs everywhere. All around where I work, nothing but a big industrial park. Every company and all around me, all looking for people. Well, the Rotten Reverend Clinton, her pastor, we covered this story about a month ago. Her pastor, remember him? Bill Shillady, Shillady, Bill Shillady. And we talked about the fact that he had been accused of plagiarizing when he wrote that book of prayers, which apparently Hillary reads every day. No, these are prayers that he was sending to Hillary during the campaign. So apparently, the Reverend Bill Shillady has now had his book pulled from bookstore shelves for plagiarism. The Rotten Reverend. Everything she touches turns to shit. Even a reverend can't escape. As soon as her reverend's license comes in the mail and she takes up her new profession, she's going to soak a lot of limousine liberals and suckers out of a lot of cash. She's going to need it for all those legal fees. The New York Daily News has sold. Selling price, $1. The New York Daily News, one of the most liberal garbage birdcage liners you've ever seen in your life, my friends, sold for $1 bought by the Tronic Corporation, who publishes the LA Times and the Chicago Tribune, two equally disgusting birdcage liners. We have the House Majority Leader, Kevin McCarty, Boehner's bitch. You know, we thought we got rid of Boehner. I thought we got rid of Boehner. We all thought we got rid of Boehner, but unfortunately they nominated to be the new Majority Leader Kevin McCarty, who was always Boehner's bitch. The pivot man. And he's telling reporters now that the GOP will push back the border wall action by months. Oh yeah? I think Trump's got a plan for that border wall. Just keep paying attention, Mr. McCarty, and hopefully whatever district you're from, your voters there will vote your ass out. You're a disgrace. You make me sick. Angela Merkel, hit with tomatoes while giving a speech in Heidelberg. I got pretty drunk in Heidelberg. With two Air Force pilots, by the way. Tried to talk them into giving me a ride on an F-16. Instead, they talked me into playing a game of quarters. Turns out, they were pretty good. I wasn't. Needless to say, I crawled out of that particular venue on my hands and knees and slept on a park bench, if I remember correctly. And I had a massive headache in the morning after. I think I was drinking Ansbach coffee amaretto, shots of coffee amaretto, chasing it with Ansbach, and drinking a lot of beer as well. Pilsen, I believe it was. It was a rough night for the seeker. But I'm okay now. And I haven't had a drink of alcohol in 15 years. By the way, I'm not an alcoholic. I just lost interest. Okay, the Hollywood producer of ABC's Modern Family. You remember I told you a couple days ago that Hollywood revenues were really, really down? Hollywood was down and out? And I was giving you all the reasons why. Nobody really likes them. Well, here you go. The Hollywood producer of ABC's Modern Family has a message for Trump supporting Christians. Are you a Trump supporting Christians? Well, the Hollywood producer of Modern Family has a message for you, which he put out on Twitter. It is, fuck you. Yes, that's right. Danny Zucker tweeted it, then quickly deleted his fuck you post to Trump supporting Christians. Unfortunately, before he was able to remove that tweet, a lot of people captured the screenshot. It's all over the internet. That is not going to get you very many viewers. I suspect that his career will be coming to a swift end. Now, he's real popular out in Hollywood. They'll love him for that. He'll get a lot of pats on the back. But we can assume that as soon as these Trump-supporting Christians find out about it, they will not allow their children, nor will they watch Modern Family anymore. So, there you go. Finally, on a more serious note, hurricane update on Hurricane Irma. The fact that it's named after a woman, don't let that get you to believe it's not dangerous. It's extremely dangerous. One of the biggest storms ever tracked. We don't know where it's going, but certainly looks like to me it's going to hit Florida. But if you're anywhere near there, Carolinas, Georgia, even as far up the coast as New York, New Jersey, I highly think that what you should do now is go ahead and make all the preparations so that you can leave at the drop of a hat. As soon as you see that storm make its turn, which it will in the next 2 or 3 days, probably less, as soon as it makes its turn and we get an idea where it's going, once you realize it's coming near you, get out. Be the first, not the last. Go ahead and pack your bags now. Go ahead and get your affairs ready to go now. Board up your windows. Book that hotel, whatever you're going to do. Prepare yourself, because Hurricane Irma just passed over Barbuda and it literally leveled 90% of the structures on Barbuda. Leveled 90% of the structures on Barbuda. My friends, I have a friend who's a general contractor, builds houses. He told me that the average house is good for about 120 to 130 mile an hour wind, and then the roof comes off. He says because the walls are connected to the roof, that once the roof comes off, the walls have nothing left to hold them up. So then they collapse and fall in on one another. That's when your house comes down. This is 120, 130 mile per hour winds is what he's talking about. This particular storm has 180, 190 mile per hour winds with gusts over 215, 220. Could be even higher than that once it hits the warm Gulf waters. My friends, this is a very dangerous situation. Do not play around. Do not play around. This is serious business. Very concerned about those of you who are subscribers, watchers of my YouTube channel. I do care. I care about what happens to you. Love y'all. So, what you want to do is take action, take measures to save your life. TowerGate, day 186, September 7th, 2017. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow. See ya.